I'm good to go. So I'm going to start, and then I'm going to have to mute the chats while I go through the presentation so that everybody can hear what I'm saying and can pay attention, and then we can take questions when we're done, okay? So let me do that. So you won't be able to chat again. And I'll just share my screen. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Sheyi Obasi. And today we're going to be talking about how to become a Canada permanent resident in 6 months using the Canada Express Entry. So that is the route we're talking about today, how you can use the Canada Express Entry to become a Canada permanent resident in 6 months. So we're going to be doing it a bit differently. So today, we're going to be talking to a client. This is my office, this Sheyi's executive office. And in a few minutes, I have somebody that is coming in to consult regarding becoming a Canada permanent resident. And then we're going to be meeting this person together and then going to be showing them what they can do to become a Canada permanent resident, okay? This is Michael. He's a prospective client. And he has come to my office. He is trying to make inquiry on how to become a Canada permanent resident. And then, of course, I'm asking him some questions. This is changing. Excuse me 1 second. I need to just come back here. Okay, so this is Michael. He wants to relocate to Canada, and he wants to do it as soon as possible. He does not want to study. He's married with 2 kids. He wants to actually go to Canada with his family, and if possible, he wants to get a job before he goes or immediately he gets Canada. So that's the profile that he has given me. And then I start to ask him some questions about his education and his work history. He tells me he's an administrative manager. He has 4 years of work experience in a tech company. He has a BSc in business admin. He also has an MBA coincidentally. He's 37 years old and he has never traveled before. Now, based on his profile, and I start to give him advice, these are my recommendations to Michael. Since he doesn't want to study, I'm not even going to talk about studying in Canada, but he might qualify for one of the federal economic immigration programs in Canada, and that is what the Express Entry is. And the programs under the Express Entry are the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the Provincial Nominee Program. Other programs that he can consider are the Federal Skilled Trades Program, the Canadian Experience Class, and the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. Okay, these are some of the programs that Michael can qualify for. Now, the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is the one that he is very likely to qualify for, is for skilled workers who have foreign work experience. So these are people who have work experience outside of Canada, but they must still meet certain criteria for education as well as other factors. The Canadian Experience Class is for skilled workers who have Canada work experience. So those who probably came to Canada to study or have been here to work temporarily, they qualify for the Canada Experience Class. The Federal Skilled Trades Program is for those who are qualified in a trade. But the thing about that is that they must have a valid job offer or a certificate of qualification. The Provincial Nominee Program is for people who have the skills and the work experience specified by different provinces. So provinces are like states in Canada. So maybe Lagos State that's what provinces are. So different states or different provinces have their own programs that people can qualify for. And the Temporary Foreign Worker Program is for people who want to gain temporary work experience in Canada. So that's just like a summary of what all these programs are. And the Express Entry is actually a pathway to permanent residence for skilled workers in Canada. Now, Michael has, of course, a lot of questions based on what I've already told him. How does the Express Entry work? How do I get started? Can I start today? Michael is really in a hurry. He wants to get out of his country as soon as possible, if possible, tomorrow. which one do I qualify for? How much is it going to cost? And how long will the process take? And I'm telling Michael, you know what? These are awesome questions, and I'm going to be answering all of them. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is how the express entry works. Now, the express entry, like I said, is for skilled workers in Canada, and don't let that word skilled confuse you. And I'm going to explain a bit what that skilled means. It's a two-step process. So as long as you have skilled work experience, you can participate. So it's a two-step process. Number one is that you need to create and submit what is called an express entry profile. An express entry profile is like submitting an expression of interest. So you're telling the Canadian government that I am interested in becoming a Canada permanent resident. There are three things that you need in order to create and submit that profile. You need 1 year of skilled work experience. You need to show proficiency in a language test. So it's either English or French. And you need to have done an education credential assessment report if your study was outside of Canada. And then one thing about the express entry profile is that it expires after 1 year. So it has a shelf life of 1 year. After 1 year, it expires and you may need to create another profile. Now, once you create that express entry profile in this first step, you are added to an express entry pool where they add other people like you who are also putting in this expression of interest that, you know what, I'm creating this profile because I'm interested in becoming a Canada permanent resident. So they pack everybody who applies and put them in a pool, so to say. So that's step one. And then once you have entered that pool, you get a letter like this. So there's a confirmation you have been accepted in the express entry pool of candidates, and they show you these are the programs that you're eligible for. This is your score. This is your express entry profile number. And they also tell you your express entry profile date and tell you what happens next. You get that letter. Now, the second step of the process is that once you're in that pool, a score is generated for you. It's called a CRS score. It is calculated using the comprehensive ranking system, and you can only get a maximum of 1,200 points, okay? Now, the comprehensive ranking system is just a system that ranks you and gives you a score. It considers your work experience, your language scores, whether French or English or a combination of both, your education, your age, and it also considers other factors like the points you have. You get points for having family in Canada. You get points from your spouse. You get points for having a valid job offer in Canada. You also get points if you are nominated by a province. And then I put a link there where you can go and simulate your points, so to say. You actually need to have your 1 year work experience, your English test, and your education credential, but you can go to that tool and actually just put in things as if you have everything, and it will give you an idea of the scores that you will have. Now, once you are in this pool, every 2 weeks, like clockwork, Canada does a draw from the express entry pool. Now, from that draw, they select people with the highest scores based on the cutoff for that period. Okay, so say the cutoff for that period is 400, for example. Anybody who has points of at least 400 and above are invited to apply for permanent residence. So those people get what is called an ITA. It's an invitation to apply for permanent residence. And the last draw, which was maybe it was on September 28th, over 3,000 people were invited from the pool who had the scores of, I think it was 508 and above, were invited to apply for permanent residence. Now, these people that have been invited to apply for permanent residence can now submit an application for permanent residence, okay? And the processing time for that is actually 6 months. Once you have submitted your application for permanent residence, the processing time is 6 months, and you can only submit an application for permanent residence after you have gotten that invitation to apply. You only have about 60 days after you have been given that invitation to apply for permanent residence. You have 60 days, and it's so sad that some people don't meet up even with that 60 days because they are not prepared, which is sad, okay? So that's step one, and that's step two. And I noticed that Michael was taking notes. You know, we're talking to Michael, he's taking notes, and he still has a lot of questions. I offered him some tea, and I told him, you know what, take some of your tea and still go ahead and ask your questions. And he still has a lot of questions. Am I eligible to apply? Do I qualify? How much is it going to cost? Which of course is a valid question. And he said he's 37 years old. He wants to know if he's too old. Yeah. And then he's asking about job prospects. What about job prospects? And will I be able to go with my family? He has all these questions, and I'm going to answer all the questions. Starting with the last one, of course, you can go with your family. One thing about the express entry is that you apply with your entire family. your entire direct family who are your dependents, whether they are accompanying you or not, which means that if you have stepchildren, you also apply for them, even if they are living with your other spouse. So you apply with your entire family, and if you get approved, everybody gets approved with you. So are you eligible to apply? The truth is that you must qualify for one of the economic immigration programs, and you must meet the minimum requirements, either the Federal Skilled Trades Program, Canada Experience Class, the Federal Trades Program, the PMP. You must qualify for something in order for you to get an ITA. You must have at least 1 year of continuous full-time work experience in any skilled occupation in the last 10 years. Okay, now skilled occupation is not skill like being a mechanic or being a tailor or whatever. Skilled experience in a skilled occupation is determined by the Canadian government. I'll show you in a bit. And it's also any job or occupation that you need to have been trained to do, okay? Or you need to have been educated to do. That's one thing. Then you must be able to demonstrate that you have taken a language test and you have met the minimum scores. And then for English language, the minimum score is 7, which means you must have 6 in all the 4 components of the test. And then you must have your education assessed by an ECA. It must be equal to a completed Canadian secondary school education, that's high school or a post-secondary credential. So whatever credential you have in your country, after you assess it, it must be equal to a completed high school, Canadian high school, or a post-secondary credential, which means that maybe a diploma or something, a degree, a certificate, but it must be equal to something in Canada, okay? So funny enough, when it comes to education, if you have 2 or more degrees or diplomas, you can actually get more points. Now, the way it is for credential is that you use your highest level degree or certificate, because that is what will give you the most points. So if you have a BSc and a master's, you will actually do credential for your master's, because that's where you will get the highest points. You will get more points for master's than for BSc. However, if you have more than 1 degree, you get more points than if you have a single degree. For example, if you have a bachelor's degree or you have 2 bachelor's degree, or you have a bachelor's and a certificate, as long as one of those credentials is 3 years or more in length, you get more points. And then you have to do the ECA for both of those certificates in order for you to get the points. So you don't just do one ECA, you do the 2 of them. Okay, now how much does it cost? Now the cost that I've put here can change over time. So you need to actually confirm the real cost. There are 2 categories of costs. So there are costs that you have before you get that invitation to apply. There are costs that you have after you get the invitation to apply. The first two costs there are before you get the invitation to apply. You need to do your language test. That's your IELTS, CELP, TEF, whatever it is. It costs between 250 to 300 Canadian dollars, as at the last time I checked. You have to do your education credentials, or WES, as it's popularly called. And then it costs maybe around 200 Canadian dollars or so. Then after you get your invitation to apply, that's when you do biometrics, which costs like $85 per person if you haven't done biometrics in the last 10 years, okay? Then you pay the government fees to apply, which is $13.25 for an adult and $225 for a child. You do medical exams, and then you do police clearance certificate. This is just a snapshot of what it will cost for you to apply. So is there an age limit? That's another question that he has. And the answer is no. There is no age limit to apply for express entry. But age is actually one of the factors that determines your scores. So the older you are, the less you score on the age factor. Yeah. The younger you are, the more you score on age factor. But then there are other things that you can do that can give you an advantage, even though you don't have as much scores in age. Okay. And then one thing is that provinces sometimes pick people with certain skills or occupation from the pool, irrespective of age or score. I know the last time that it was done, British Columbia picked administrative assistants from the pool, yeah? And it didn't matter their scores. Whatever their scores were, they just picked them from the pool. And then if you were not in the pool, you do not get picked, okay? If a province picks you and give you a provincial nomination, it's an automatic 600 points out of that 1,200 total CRS points we talked about. And once you get that 600 points, it is almost a guarantee that you receive an invitation to apply for permanent residence. Michael also wants to know if he needs a job for express entry. And a lot of people ask this question. And the truth is, you do not need a job offer for express entry. The vast majority of people who get an invitation to apply do not have a formal Canadian job offer. However, if you do have a valid Canadian job offer, it can add up to 200 points to your CRS score. 200 points is a lot of points, okay? You only need a job to apply for a work permit. A work permit is not express entry. A work permit means I got a job offer and I want a permit to go to Canada to do that job. That is a work permit. Express entry is I want to come to Canada to become a permanent resident with all the benefits of a permanent resident, and then I can look for a job, okay? Permanent residence through express entry does not guarantee jobs, does not give jobs. You still need to come to Canada to get a job. However, if you have a valid Canadian job offer, you can get more points and increase your chances of being invited for permanent residence. Okay, so I mean, all of this is a lot of information for Michael, and he has taken notes, but he's also wondering, does my spouse need to take the IELTS exam? The answer is no. It is not compulsory that your spouse takes the exam. If they don't want to, I know a lot of spouses don't want to take, I wonder why. But if your spouse does take the exam, if they accompany you and they take the IELTS and they score a minimum of CLB4 in each of the tests, you get an additional 5 points towards your own CRS scores. Okay, their marks also increase yours. If they also go ahead and do WES, it also adds an additional 10 points to you. But if you have all the points and you don't need the points from your spouse, it's also fine. Now, Michael is also wondering, can he and his wife apply separately? Because you know he wants to leave as soon as possible and he wants to increase his chances. But he's saying that his wife is a business person. She doesn't work. So would she qualify? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can qualify as an entrepreneur, as a business person, or as a skilled worker. You can apply as a self-employed or business person. You have at least 1 year of self-employment. You have your articles of incorporation and other evidence that you own that business and that you've been getting income from that business. It's so important to show that your income comes from that self-employment, and you can show reference letters from your customers, reference letters from your bank, and all that. Of course, he and his wife can apply separately. So you and your spouse can actually apply separately, and whoever it is that gets an invitation to apply also includes the other person and the family, okay? So I and my husband can apply, he can apply, I can apply. If he gets picked, it covers me. If I get picked, it covers him. That's how it works. So $1 million question, how do I know if my work experience qualifies? Now, for now, as long as you have any skilled job in the National Occupation Classification, you can apply for express entry. Now, Canada has what is called the National Occupation Classification, where they have grouped all kinds of occupation, yeah, giving them different skill level. Now, you have to be able to find your own job or your own whatever you do in that skill level to be able to choose a number for it, for example. Now, you can find your NOC code by searching in the NOC matrix. You can search by job title, you can search by industry. It is important to make sure that the majority of the main duties that you do on your job matches what is on the NOC code. Now, this is the National Occupation Classification. It is Canada's national system for describing occupations. You can search the NOC to find where an occupation is classified or to learn about its main duties, educational requirements, other useful information. So, for example, if you're an administrative manager, you can type administrative manager here. I am an administrative manager. You can and you can search for the job title. So you can just write administrative manager, or I work in a bank, or bank teller, and then you click search. It will actually give you the NOC code and the duties for that job. Okay. Now, if 70% of your own duties match what you see there, that means that is your NOC. This is very important because I know people who have gotten refused because they chose the wrong NOC. And whatever NOC you choose here should match whatever reference letter you get. So this is how you know that you qualify. So when you go and search for NOC, there are 3 levels of the National Occupation Classification. Jobs are grouped based on job duties, based on the work that the person does. Yeah. So there are 3 levels. There's skill type 0, there's skill type A, and there's skill type B. Skill type 0 are like management jobs. Yeah. So administrative manager, for example, restaurant manager, different kinds. There are so many. These are just examples. Those ones are skill type 0. Skill type A are professional jobs. Yeah. Usually call for a degree from a university. So something like a doctor, a dentist, a financial manager, something like that. They are skill type A. Skill type B are technical jobs and skilled trades that usually call for a college diploma or training as an apprentice. So something like chefs or plumbers or electricians, Those are skill type B. There's also skill type C, skill level C, which is not used for express entry, but it's used for other immigration programs for people who are already inside of Canada, okay? But for express entry, you need skill type 0, skill type A, skill type B. The only way you can know if your job qualifies is if you come here and you search for it and you get all the details of the job, okay? It is called the National Occupation Classification for Canada occupations, okay? So Michael is also asking, so which is easier? I get this question a lot. Is it, should I do study? Should I do express entry? Which one is better for me? The truth is, none of them is better or easier. Okay, none of them is better or easier because they have different criteria. Okay, if you study, you're coming to study. If it's express entry, you're coming to land as a permanent resident. Yeah, but you can still create an express entry profile even if you're trying the study route. You can have an express entry profile. You have done your WES, you have done your IELTS, and you're just waiting, but you're also processing your study. Even as a student, you can still qualify under this federal skilled worker. Yeah, you can still become a permanent resident while you are a student if you qualify for one of those federal economic programs. But the benefits of the express entry is that you become a permanent resident faster. For study, you still have to go through study and then you work and then apply for permanent residence. But through the express entry, you land Canada as a PR and you can start looking for skilled jobs as soon as possible. And in addition, when you create your profile, you are creating it for your entire family, whether they are accompanying you or not. Unlike study, where sometimes you might have to come first and then your family joins you. For express entry, this is for everybody, okay? And once you're in Canada, you can apply for government jobs. Government jobs are like the go-to jobs. Everybody likes government jobs in Canada. They pay a lot of money. They are very relaxed. So you can apply for those, you qualify for those, you get free health insurance, and then you also pay tuition for citizens. So if you come to Canada as a permanent resident and you want to go back to school, you can do that. And you don't have to pay international student fees. You pay fees like a citizen. So there are fees for permanent residents and citizens, which is like a quarter of what international students pay. You can also attend vocational schools that international students cannot attend. So maybe vocational schools, maybe schools that teach vocational skills. You can attend those. You can change your profession and get trained for that as well as a permanent resident, which an international student might not be able to do. You can get access to new immigrant government help resources. So all the provinces have like some sort of help for new immigrants. You get access to that. And your children that are below 18 years of age start getting paid immediately every month. They start getting paid. If you're a student, you have to wait 18 months for you to get this benefit. But if you land as a permanent resident, children 18 years and below get a stipend or a payment, what's called child benefit from the government every month, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So these are some of the advantages of express entry over study. But then, of course, they have different requirements, and you can choose which of them you want to actually go for. Like I said, you can be a student and still create an express entry profile. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay, so this has been a successful consultation. I can see Michael is smiling. He's happy, his notes are full, and he knows what to do. So I've told him to give me a summary of what he's going to do as he leaves my office. So number one, he's going to go and prepare for his IELTS. And inside our express entry program, we have very good recommendations for him to prepare for his IELTS. We have a program that he can actually join and get a discount of 20% inside the express entry. He will quickly start his education credentials with WES because it takes a little bit of time. WES takes some time because it still has to go back to your school to get your transcript. So he's going to start WES at once, and he's going to make sure that his spouse also does her IELTS and she also starts her WES. The other thing he's going to do is going to go and look at his job duties so that he can determine his NOC code as quickly as possible. So as soon as he has the IELTS and his WES, he is ready to start. So whoever is also in the shoes of Michael, these are the 4 things that you need to do now. Prepare for IELTS, do your WES, get your spouse to do the same if you have a spouse and if they are willing to, and then determine your NOC code. Okay, so Michael didn't ask this question, but I'm going to answer it. What if I am a trades person? So there are some people who are butchers, bakers, they are tradespeople, and they're also interested in coming to Canada under the federal skilled trades program. Yes, you can. there's a program called the Federal Skilled Trades Program. They don't have as many draws as the Federal Skilled Worker Program, but they also have draws. Yeah, they pick them from the pool as well. The only thing is that you must have at least 2 years of full-time work experience in the last 5 years. And when they say you have 2 years of full-time work experience, you should be able to show that you have that 2 years of full-time work experience. You must have a valid job offer of full-time employment in Canada, or you have a certificate of qualification issued in Canada. So that's what makes this trade a little bit harder than the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Now, the skilled work experience is all of these ones: chefs and cooks, processing, manufacturing, control operators, agriculture. So it's not things like making hair or being able to sew clothes. It's not those kind of skills. These are skills that are needed in Canada, and that's why they are under the Skilled Trades Program. So I just want to talk a little bit about why immigration is important to Canada. Now, immigration is so important to Canada now, yeah, because immigrants today make up about 65% of Canada's net annual population growth. Like, out of 10 people you meet on the road, 6 of them are immigrants, or their parents are immigrants, or their grandparents were immigrants. That is how the Canadian population is being grown, because 25% of Canada's population will be over 65 by 2035. There's an aging population here. So they need people that will come in and work and build the economy. They don't have as much children, so they don't have younger people to build up the economy. So Canada actually needs you, okay? It needs immigrants, and that's why you see everybody, every province struggling to get people that are skilled, people that are younger, people that are educated to come into their province and help build it. So that's why immigration is important. If they make it look as if you are doing them a favor, they are doing you a favor. You are actually doing them a favor by coming here to work, to build the economy, to pay taxes. It's actually helping the Canadian government, okay? So from all these things that I've said, can you do the process on your own? So that's what a lot of people are asking. That's what Michael is asking as well. The truth is that the internet is full of all sorts of fancy video guides on immigrating to Canada. I'm sure if you go and type it in Google or in YouTube, so many videos, so many resources will come out. But sadly, many of these guides, including advice that you get from friends and family or friends and well-wishers, they are filled with half-baked information. That could mean the difference between getting your application accepted or refused. There are so many people who don't have all the information, but they are putting themselves out as experts and giving people information. I see a lot of wrong information on the internet. So a lot of people have actually made mistakes that have cost them their chances of immigrating to Canada because they used all of this information that they got on the internet, okay? Now, how can you avoid the errors that these people made? How do you submit an application that cannot be refused? How do you increase your chances of getting an invitation to apply? What do you do if you can't get a reference letter, which happens to a lot of people? What do you do if you don't have all the required documents? And what do you do if you don't have sufficient funds or you cannot get your police certificate from the countries that you have actually been to? You have 2 options. You can do it yourself, yeah? You can actually use the information that I've provided here. You can search the internet for free material, so to speak, and you can waste time and money trying to do this on your own. And I'm not saying it in malice or saying it because I'm trying to sell you something. Going through the internet and looking for information that is genuine is really difficult, okay? And then a lot of people have gotten into trouble by trying to do it yourself. But it's also one option that you can go for. The other option is that you can get help. You can borrow someone's brain. You can borrow someone's expertise who knows what they're doing, who has been through that, to help you to achieve your goal. In this case, you save time and money. So which one would you go? I would actually advise that you go and borrow someone's brain, borrow someone's expertise. It doesn't have to be me. It can be a lawyer, it can be an immigration lawyer, an immigration consultant, whoever. But it is always important when it comes to Canada immigration, especially express entry, to try and get some sort of help. Okay, now, personally, I have put together a masterclass that can help you to be successful. The information that I've given you, you can actually take all of that information and go and do it. Yeah, I've given, like I told you, everything basically that you need to do and how you need to do it to actually go and create your express entry profile, get your invitation to apply, determine your knock code, and then apply when you actually do get an invitation to apply. However, if you need help, further help, you need guidance, you need someone to bounce ideas with, you can actually look through this masterclass. It can help you to be successful with your express entry. It is a comprehensive and detailed guide that will assist you in preparing, submitting a Canada express entry profile and an application that cannot be refused. When it comes to express entry, it's not like study, yeah? So this is not something that the visa officer is using their church mind or using their being subjective about. Express entry is clean and clear. It's either you qualify or you don't qualify. It's either you get the documents or you don't get the documents. It's either you understand the requirements or you don't. And Canada visa officers are not going to call you and say, excuse me, madam, you forgot to add this. If it's not there, because they have so many applications and they have a one-touch principle, they touch your application, everything is not there, they refuse it. If you like, you can take them to court. So they have that one-touch principle. If you ignore the strategies, the tips, everything that you need, especially things we share in the Express Entry Masterclass, you might hate yourself later. I have so many stories. I have people in the Canada Jacques system who did Express Entry, got refused for silly reasons, okay? So you don't want it because every year you get older. Your IELTS lasts for only 2 years. You can imagine waiting for 1 year in the pool, getting your invitation, and then not having it. You have to go and start doing IELTS again. It's really sad. So you get lifetime access to a complete step-by-step video tutorial, shows you how to do it yourself, okay? It shows you how to do it yourself. We have checklists, templates, sample documents, all are designed to make your express entry process as effortless as possible, while giving you the tools that you need to ensure that your application gets approved the first time. Because like I said, those second chances are usually not available for so many reasons. So in this masterclass, you will learn how to increase your chances of getting an invitation to apply. This is the main thing why you're creating the profile. You want that ITA. It's like a magic email. Magical email, you want to get that email. You want it to show you how to properly complete your profile when you actually get the ITA. That is another level completely. In fact, that is where the bulk of the work is. How to select your proper NOC code, how to increase your CRS scores, and how to increase your IELTS scores. So we have partnership with certain IELTS programs. In the masterclass, you get a discount. We also have 2 amazing bonuses that on their own can stand as separate courses, but they are bonuses for you when you join the Express Entry Masterclass. There's this temporary foreign worker program. Now we have a bonus that shows you how you can get a job in Canada under the temporary foreign worker program. Now, the TFWP is a program of Canada that allows employers in Canada to hire foreign nationals on a temporary basis. Now, this was one of the options that I showed to Michael at the beginning, if you remember. So because of the shortage of labor in Canada, a lot of employers are searching for temporary foreign workers, yeah? And then, it's not all kinds of jobs, okay? So these are jobs that are temporary. So it can be for 1 year, it can be for 2 years, it can be for a limited number of time. And you actually do not require IELTS or WES, but you do need to get the job, okay? You do need to have a job in order to apply for work permits under the temporary foreign worker program. Now, the graph on the right shows the number of roles that have been approved by occupation in the first quarter of 2022. And as you can see, the most that they take for temporary foreign worker program is general farm workers, okay? Canada is an agricultural country. It's a farming country. So there are lots of farms. If you drive through, you will see farms all over the place. Now, during the summer and the winter, when they need to do harvesting or planting, they actually get temporary workers because a lot of people in Canada who are permanent residents or citizens do not want to do these jobs, okay? So the employers, a lot of times, employ people from the Philippines. Those are the people that usually come, yeah, to do these jobs temporarily, farm jobs, which are almost like physical jobs, and then they go back, okay? So they also take cooks, greenhouse workers, construction helpers, transport truck drivers, but the bulk of them is the farm workers. And sadly, this is where like a lot of fake agents or people actually dupe people because they promise them jobs, they promise them accommodation, flights, and heaven and earth, which is usually not correct because an employer will not be giving accommodation. They do give accommodation, but they will not be paying for your flight and all that. I'm not saying it's not true. There are employers that do it, but the majority of them are false, okay? And that's the reason why I've added this bonus, okay? It is not a full course. It is a bonus in the Express Entry Masterclass. It shows you how to get a job under the temporary foreign worker program. We also give details of some recruiters that recruit for temporary jobs, because I do get people sending me letters to confirm, is this true? Is this not true? Is this real? And a lot of time, I'm telling you, 70% of the time, they are fake job offers, okay? Some of them did not go for interviews. Some of them cannot find those companies on the internet. There are companies that actually recruit for temporary jobs. Okay, we share that information and show you how to go about searching and applying for the job. And I also send job postings to those who have the express entry. When I see genuine job postings, I send it. There are people here in Canada who have used those job postings to get temporary jobs. They are here now and they are working, okay? And this is also a route that they can use to permanent residence. So with this, you can avoid scams. You can avoid fake job offers, because a lot of people are confused. They don't know which is real. That is what this bonus is going to do for you. It is an amazing bonus. And then if it's just temporary jobs you are looking for, this will also help you. The second bonus is the ABCs of the Provincial Nominee Program. Now, the PNPs is another way that people can use to come to Canada, especially if you cannot get the express entry. And there are so many provinces in Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, that have easy PNP programs. And now Alberta as well is trying to attract people. So each of those provinces is trying to attract people. And this bonus shows you the details of the PNP program for the 10 provinces in Canada and how they work, especially those that do not require job offer requirements. So most of these PNPs want you to have a connection to the province or a job offer. This bonus gives you details of the provinces that do not need a job offer. The easiest provinces to get the nomination. If you add a provincial nomination to your express entry, there is no way you will not get that invitation to apply. And then some provinces have their own standalone programs that they use to invite people to their province. So this is an amazing bonus to get, okay? And then how to go about getting that provincial nomination to get you a PNP nomination for you to come to Canada. And I also wanted to talk about the Alberta PNP, which just opened a new immigration path for religious workers, because that's what's reigning now. So Alberta just started a new immigration path for religious workers. They are not the first province to do it. There are other provinces, Ontario, Saskatchewan, I think, that also have this kind of immigration path for religious workers. However, you must still meet the existing program requirements, which is all the things we talked about: language, education, and wage requirements. You must receive a job offer from an Alberta-based faith organization. So, and a faith-based organization, which is maybe a church, a mosque, whatever, must give you a job offer, maybe to come and be a pastor, come and be an organ player, come and be an assistant pastor. You must get that job offer. So there are 3 ways. That's one of the ways. The second way is that you must be invited to work in an Albertan rural community. That is the rural renewal stream. So let's say a church in a rural community in Alberta invites you to come and work. Okay, so that's like an invitation to come and work, or an invitation to come and do a missionary job or something. That is also a pathway to use this immigration path. And then the last one is using the express entry, which we just talked about. So Alberta is going to be picking people from the pool that either demonstrate strong ties to Alberta, maybe they have chosen Alberta, or maybe they have a relation there, or they are working as clergies or as religious workers, which means that your NOC code shows that you are either a pastor, a sort of clergy, or a religious worker, and you are in the next express entry pool. They can actually come to the pool and pick people. That is why it is so important to be in the pool, okay? Because Alberta now is looking for religious workers. They are a religious company, they are a religious province. Alberta has had issues because they are oil province. And in the last few years, there's been a lot of problem with oil in Canada, and a lot of people have been losing their jobs, yeah? So people were not wanting to go to Alberta. So Alberta is trying to attract people. So this is also a province that you can look at, especially if you have a friend or a relation in Alberta. This is the time to talk to them. You need to be talking to people there because they are on ground. They would know maybe their church or a certain community that might need people, and they will be able to help you. So this is where you need to start making connections to people you know in Alberta. Okay, so how much is the Express Entry? That's what we're talking about. The Express Entry involves the Express Entry Masterclass, which is the main program, and then the 2 bonuses, the Temporary Foreign Worker Program and the ABCs of the Provincial Nominee Program. These are the 2 bonuses. Temporary Foreign Worker Programs also includes job postings when there are job postings that can, that can benefit you. So I'll be posting jobs as I see them and as I get them to those who have purchased this. And of course, when there are updates on province, maybe there's a province that has brought out a new program or that has adjusted a program, you will also be getting the emails. So just a reminder of what you are getting. You and your entire family can come to Canada as permanent residents at last. You get knowledge about the temporary foreign worker program and the PMPs. These are other routes to permanent residence for those that are outside of Canada. You get all the benefits of being a permanent resident that we talked about. You get a chance to avoid mistakes in your application and a step-by-step guide that you can follow to be successful. And all of that is only $60,000, 60,000 naira, sorry, which is even less than $100, okay? 60,000 naira. So at this point, I mean, if you have shut down, or if you are angry, or if you are sad of having to spend 60,000 naira to get yourself and your family to become Canada permanent residents, to make Canada your new home, and you can of course be jetting between Nigeria, Ghana, and Canada, wherever you want to go as a permanent resident. Even as a student, you can go in and out. You just show your permanent resident card. You do not need visa to enter Canada, and you can easily get visas to the US, because the US is just next to Canada, as a permanent resident. And in my opinion, 60,000 is less than the value that this program is providing. Just the bonuses alone, I'm sure the value of that is over 250,000. But of course, because I understand the economics of the country, my home country, Nigeria, Ghana, and all other countries, I have placed this at 60,000 as the entry point, but I don't know how long it's going to be. The price might change, but this is what you are going to pay to get access to the Canada Express Entry Masterclass and those two amazing bonuses. So the Express Entry can make you a Canada permanent resident in record time. And then, there were rumors that there will be occupation-specific draws that will start in 2023. Those rumors have been confirmed. Now, what that means is that right now, when Canada makes the draw from the pool, they take everybody. So regardless of your occupation, even if you're an administrative assistant, you are a clerk, you're a customer support person, they pick everybody. Now, however, in 2023, they are going to be picking people based on occupation. So they can make an occupation-specific draw for tech people alone or for finance people alone. It's going to benefit some people, but it's not going to benefit others. And you want to be able to get your permanent residence through Express Entry before they start that, especially if you don't have a very lucrative occupation. Okay, this will benefit people that have lucrative occupation, but if you don't have a very lucrative occupation, this is not a good thing. And then you and your entire family can be Canada permanent residents before any major changes affect you. So make haste while the sun is still shining. Stop wasting time. Stop looking at the amount of money you're spending. If you want to immigrate to a new country, you have to spend money, okay, to do that. You're coming to a new country that is also very big on immigration. And it's not just about you, it's about your children, it's about your grandchildren. All of them become permanent residents just because you became permanent residents, okay? Okay, so if you want to take a leap to achieve your Canada dream using the permanent residence Express Entry, you contact whoever has invited you to this webinar. You ask them for a link to purchase, okay? Because whoever has invited you here is an affiliate to the program, is authorized to sell the program. So they can give you a link. So no link will be shared here. You have to go back to them and ask for a link. No matter who you buy from, you still get lifetime access to the same program, and you still get access to me. So my details, contact details, email, phone number, the special email for Express Entry is inside Express Entry Masterclass. Okay, so do this now before the price increases or before it gets even harder. So thank you for listening. I'm hoping I didn't take too much time. I was just trying to explain it as much as I can, but I thank you for listening, and I will stop sharing my screen and I can answer some questions now.